What's going on, everybody? So I'm gonna work on the wagon again today. Try to get a few things done. Earlier I was kind of chipping away at some of the more boring stuff, just getting our interior put back together. So got the whole gauge cluster and everything wrapped up, put all my buttons in here. I got my new factory fog light button. I swapped that out for the cruise control. Just been kind of figuring out where everything's gonna go. The last thing I got to figure out is a lot of this DCD stuff, because I got this little, this came with the factory fog light horn thing, but it doesn't really fit so well, so I'm going to probably take this piece, and this is actually the display for my wire to show you, how much rear wheel drive you got, or if you're in auto, or all that stuff. So for now I'm just going to leave it there, but I'm going to make a little plate for that to actually fit in there. So that's pretty cool. I need to mount up the rest of this stuff, like the G-force meter. Those needs to be in the middle of the car. I'll probably double-sided sticky tape that to the chassis. I'm using factory controls from the STI, so they're a little dirty, but should work great. I'll go right in the center console. What else? I need to figure out how I'm going to mount up my fuel pump controller. Get the wiring ran for that, but a lot of the stuff's already done now. A lot of the wiring down here, this is all radio stuff that was hacked up, so a lot of this looks like shit, but we'll worry about radios and stuff once it's running. I gotta pull out these weird speaker box things that the previous owner had in here. But as far as the actual harness, I went through a bunch of work and kind of rerouted stuff down here. So I got my OBD2 port right there, so I'm gonna probably put this in a little cubby. I cut that into the cubby there. I rerouted all this stuff from the dash harness to kind of tuck it up here better. So far it's looking pretty good. I need to get in here because the ECU is back here. Show you. The ECU is behind this whole mess. It's this box right here. So I need to put some double-sided sticky tape on that to kind of hold it, because there's no way to mount it actually. So also the immobilizer box, I just kind of have it sitting up there. So we'll get some zip ties in here, we'll tie things up, put some double-sided sticky tape on the modules I need to mount up in there. And I like how this all came out, because like you're right here where your foot pedal or your clutch pedal is. You don't have the wiring hitting your foot or anything like that. It's nice and tucked up out of the way. So that was a big thing for me. It's getting all that up out of the way. This stays unplugged. I think that's part of the old diagnostic stuff, like this one. So just need to get all that up out of here. I'm not going to have a steering column cover quite yet. Since I put this hub adapter on here, this was a non-airbag OEM hub adapter from a JDM car. It doesn't fit. This is actually a different diameter because it was a non-airbag what's it called, clock spring. So I switched this over from I found this one at the junkyard actually. It has a whole intermittent switch for the wipers, all these different settings, which is super cool. So this is from a pre-facelift, so I had no airbag. So in order for all this to fit together, I need the plastic trim piece from a non-airbag pre-facelift car. Probably paint that black or something, and then cut it up, because I have the whole STI ignition in here. So this is way bigger, so I'm gonna have to cut this hole bigger, get everything to mount up properly. So for now, it's gonna be open, but that's fine. But yeah, I got all the HVAC controls all hooked up. I just need to finish up over here and put the glove box back in. And I need to pull back the carpet and pull out all of this old airbag stuff. Because I'm not using the airbag stuff anymore, so my DCCD controller goes here and where it used to go. And I need to pull all this out, but it's all under the carpet. So, yep, it's looking really good. Started putting the hood release back on here. just all the little things, just tighten it all up, and it's really starting to come together. A lot of the parts in the back of the car are gone now, so freeing up some space there. But I'd really like to get the transmission in today, but I think what I'm going to address first is this situation. So I'm pretty sure this knuckle is bent. No matter what I do, it just won't bring the camber out of it, even with all the adjustable arms and everything. So what I did is I went and I picked up, found a guy parting out another STI, and I found he had an 05, and he has all good knuckles. So these rotors are rusty and shit, but all the knuckles have good wheel bearings in them still, and they're a little rusty, but nothing like what I had on there. So I might try to swap out that rear knuckle, I think it's this one, and see if it's just bent, because I mean, these were cheap, and you never know, knuckles do get bent in car accidents and stuff. So I figured we'd probably start there before we jump on the transmission. All right, so I got this wheel kind of taken back apart. I was trying to measure some things, some distances between things, but it's really hard with it on the car, so I think I'm just gonna pull it off and we can kind of compare it to the new one. But to do that, I gotta take the whole e-brake apart to get the cable disconnected, which I just put together. So that sucks, but we'll just get that taken apart and see if we can find anything wrong. Okay, we found our culprit. So this is the old one I just pulled off. So not only is this hole completely walled out, you see the whole bottom of it is messed up. If you measure the distance between this backing plate and this, compared to this one, I mean, you can see how much more. It's a 1/4 inch difference. Like, this one is 1/4 inch closer where it's supposed to be. So this is bent a 1/4 inch that way, giving it positive camber. And if you look at it like that, you can see it. Pretty crazy. So I'm gonna swap over, pull all this e-brake stuff off, pop all this back on, and we should be good. All right, that was a huge pain. Taking apart these e-brakes is always a huge pain. You gotta, take all these pins out and get everything back in the right order, but that's it. So kind of loosely bolted everything on here. I gotta probably get a new axle nut, make sure to put some anti-seize in there. This new knuckle is pretty rusty, but it's not bent. So at this point, I don't trust any of these knuckles that I got off this parts car. So I think I'm gonna swap all 4 out and just go from there, because with how bent that is, that's unacceptable. So the car was also hit in the front and not the back, so I don't even know how that got bent, or maybe she just drove it bent like that for such a long time. I don't know, but I think I'm gonna get to work swapping out all of them and throw away these other ones. All right, so I'm getting all this throw back together. I finally got some Stop Tech brake lines. I need to find the clip for this guy. I must have lost it somewhere, or maybe I think this is a little bit bigger, since this is a STI brake line, so this part's a little bigger. I'm not sure, but I need to get a clip for that. But for now, the one it came with right here, we'll hold it nice and tight. It's looking good. The camber is already looking better. I went ahead and I was throwing on my end links, and I noticed a problem. These this sway bar is made for a Legacy, which obviously has a narrower track width than the GD, and so I'm widening the track width with these white line arms, and so it looks like this sway bar is actually going to be too narrow. And so what I'm thinking I'm going to have to do is maybe get some spacers, get some like a longer bolt for on top of here, because like right now this one's bolted on, but the other side, the sway bar end, is like over here. So these mounting points on these control arms are too far apart for it to line up with these. So I think it'll probably be my solution, is actually just getting a spacer on both sides of these and spacing the sway bar out away from the end link. If I get an aluminum spacer with a nice long bolt, shouldn't be too big of a deal. I don't think it'll cause any harm. But that's kind of what you get when you're mixing and matching all these different parts, is some things just don't work together.
So I'll have to figure that out later. Once I can maybe order some, I think an M12 aluminum spacer, maybe like a 1 inch or a 1/2 inch. Yeah, probably 1/2 inch. I need 1/2 inch on each side. I think I'll probably do it. All right, quick little test fit. Obviously alignment's not great, but man, it is so much better. I can actually, I guess I can still tote out a little bit, but it is not crazy positive camber. So I have to go and try to adjust it, but just bolting it in there, it already looks way better. Okay, I got it all torn back apart again. It kind of sucks, but I mean, this is what happens when you build a car like this. But this is the old one. I can't really tell if it's bent, but this was the side that was hit, so it really wouldn't surprise me if one of these ears was bent somewhere, or if it was bent inside here or something like that. So at this point, I don't trust any of them, so I think I'm just going to swap all of them out with the new ones I got in there. And I'm also going to take this opportunity to finally put this transmission in. It'd be really nice to get this thing in there. So to get my brother's help to actually lift it up in there. But once the with the front knuckles off and the axles and stuff out, it really shouldn't be too bad. So there it is. 6-speed is in there. Already went ahead and threw one of my axles in here. This is one of the new knuckles. Axle popped in there finally. So now I could kind of, go around and hook everything back up. I got the shifter all hooked up. Because you're gonna have to do that. That's what we were struggling with underneath the car for so long, is you kind of have to do that while the back of the transmission's down. So shift knob's not tight, but feels great. I think I probably should have replaced some of those bushings. They had aftermarket bushings in them, but there's a little bit of play in it. Like, this is just a little bit of slop. So I'll get some new bushings here eventually. Also, this little cup down here seems to be a little worn out. So, but those you can change from inside the car. So not a huge deal. That's all stuff I can do later. Yeah, it's just really nice to see this transmission finally in here. So I'm gonna get to work throwing this whole knuckle and everything back together. I still need to swap out that one, but at least I'll get these two front ones on here. Already got this one all off, so this goes together really quick. Just throw the knuckle back on, get everything tight, and then eventually we'll get to that one in the back, but I'd like to get it put back on the ground tonight. I don't want to leave it up off the ground, so let's get to work. All right, threw this back together real quick. I'm not showing any of this because I've showed it 1,000 times, but without even making any adjustments, it already fits 1,000,000 times better. So that tells me that this knuckle was definitely bent, because I mean the wheel is tucked in about another 1/4 inch. So this thing is junk. Don't know what's bent on it, but I'm gonna throw all of them away. Still gotta change that last one, but yeah, let's get this side thrown together and get it back on the ground. Okay, so we got all the wheels put back on, but while it's up off the ground, I figure it's a good opportunity to throw the drive shaft in. So this is actually the original drive shaft from this car. This is the automatic, you know, legacy drive shaft. It should be the exact right length because the automatics are the same length as the 6-speeds. I just already had to swap over the flange on the R180 because it's just a little bit different bolt pattern. Otherwise, they're pretty much exactly the same. I think this is a slightly smaller diameter, so someday if I break this thing, not a huge deal, I'll just get one made, probably a single piece one with no carrier or anything, just something beefy. But for now, this is a bolt-in option that was already in the car, so it's low miles, all the U-joints are good. It's a little dirty, but it should go right in. There we go. You can see this part was giving me a little bit of trouble, but got the bolts through, got those tight. That's a legacy drive shaft with a 6-speed and an R180. Perfect length. All right, there it is. Put it back on the ground. It's looking a lot better. I towed this side in just a little bit, but we're still kind of poking. I need to see what I can do about getting more camber out of the rear. I may have to try to find some adjustable top hats or something. This one is way better, but it's towed way in right now, so the alignment's super wonky right now. I got to do some measuring and kind of do my own little tape job measurement alignment. But after swapping the front looks perfect. Like you can see, should be able to get that to tuck perfectly. It's probably about 2 degrees of camber, maybe 2.5. Roll the fenders, you know, get it tuck up just right, because this side is looking perfect, same as the other side. So that knuckle was definitely pretty messed up. So I just got one more knuckle to swap out, which is this one. This one doesn't seem to be bent, but I'm swapping it out anyway. But I've been working all day on this thing, so I'm gonna have to come back to this probably next weekend. Pretty much only have weekends to work on this thing, but finally, I'm really happy to have a transmission in this thing. The interior's coming together. So now I can actually sit in here. Probably tighten this knob up, but this carboy shift kit is real tight. I need to get some new bushings like I was saying before, but it'll do for now. It definitely ties all this together. So just got to finish putting the panels and stuff, hiding some of this wiring down here. Like this is all just radio shit. All the actual wiring for the car is done. I just have all this weird like sound system stuff I got to pull out, but and all this stuff. But other than that, like everything's pretty much done inside here. It's got a couple more grounds to hook up and put the glove box in. But yeah, let's kind of give you an overview. Eventually I'll get to the seats. I got all black leather interior. It's gonna go in this thing. I showed that a long time ago. But I got some GD leather, like limited edition, whatever, seats for the back, and some Bug Eye WRX limited front seats. So I have nice black interior. One day I do want to try to figure out how I can reupholster these and maybe do leather on it, or maybe black suede to match the black. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this video. So thank you guys for watching. Make sure to tune in next time. We slowly start getting this thing ready. Big surprise in the next video, hopefully. I did order my block, but it might take a while to get here, so I'll just show you guys that once I get it. But yep, thanks for watching, and see you next time.